we had a situation where an 80s some odd female patient who had been fine the whole shift, stable, wasn't even present for a cardiac issue. I think she was there for pneumonia. This was years ago. Was nearing the end of evening shift. It was probably around 9:30 or 10. And she called out because she barely was able to get out that she couldn't breathe very well. And she'd not called the entire shift, was fully alert and oriented, and so we hauled down there, my orientee and I. And of course she's sitting up, she's tripoding, she's really, really labored. And so this was probably halfway into, I think, my orientee's orientation period. And so they'd been on the unit for a little while. They knew where everything was. And but you see as they walk into the room, they just stop for a second and go. And you know that the deer in the headlights look of, well, this is new. What do I do? And I mean, I'm not going to lie, I still get that sometimes. And I might not stop moving and I might not stop doing things, but I still...
Oh my God.
Yes, it's like the duck serene on the surface and doing this underneath. So I looked at my orientee and I just said, get a set of vitals. We're going to start there. And I went right to the patient and I'm asking her questions and my orientee is getting vitals. And that's familiar, it's safe, you know. And so we identified that her heart rate was up. And I looked at my orientee and I said, well, she's having chest pain too. Her heart rate is up. She's struggling to breathe. So we need to call a rapid response. And so we called a rapid, and the rapid response nurse came. And at this point, we had put her on oxygen because her sats were bad. And I'm taking point on this, but I'm explaining as I go what I'm doing, and asking the orientee to participate when safe and possible. We identified she was in rapid AFib, and her chest pain was probably due to demand ischemia. I was explaining to my orientee how this occurs pathophysiologically while we're waiting for pharmacy to mix up the cardizem, and we're giving the cardizem bolus. We put her on telemetry while we were, after the EKG was completed. At that point, we have physician at the bedside, we have ICU rapid response nurse at the bedside. Periodically, we're getting people from the unit coming in and asking, hey, do you guys need help? Which I feel like is a good aspect of our unit culture. And I said, no, we've got it handled. We've got my orientee here, we've got me, we've got the ICU nurse, we're good. My orientee hung all the fluids, got all the medication started. I was able to show her how to start cardizem. We talked about how to monitor it. And she was able to see that patient go from barely able to breathe with a 10 out of 10 chest pain and a heart rate of like 170 to a heart rate of like 110, start titrating off the oxygen. And so took probably about 40 minutes to an hour, but it was that whole continuum of cause and effect. And throughout it, she was asking good questions. I was asking her, hey, are there questions that you have while I'm doing what I'm doing or while you're doing what you're doing?
Can you imagine being unaccompanied or uncoached during such a crisis? That would be terrible for the new nurse.
Very scary. I've experienced it. And sometimes you still experience it. You know, you call for help. It's what you do.